everyone, welcome back to Flat Out. The latest edition will be focusing on all things Dante meeting. Yes, we've got to crunch time of the trials. Most of them have been and gone. Most of them have been won in the same colours, and we'll be speculating whether that will be once again the case in the company of Jack Nicol. How are you, Jack?
Very good, thanks. You?
Very well, thank you. And with Tom Bull, how are you?
Very, very good and very excited.
Same, good. Good enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Keep that up.
I will.
Well, there's plenty of reason to be enthusiastic because if you watched our Guineas episode, hopefully you've got a few more quid in your pocket, courtesy of Ruling Court. You and I were very strong on him. He delivered.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, 7-1. He really outbattled his stablemate and won well. And Sardinian Warrior earlier in the week set me up for the week anyway. And both of you delivered as well, didn't you? Tom with Falakea.
Exactly. You have a penchant for the fillies, and once again, it's paid off.
Steady now, but you are correct. Yeah, she did it really well, didn't she? And she was really well backed. I think or at least I said I fancied her around about 3-1 mark, and she went off 6-4, and she never looked like she was going to get beaten. In the early part of the race, I just wondered perhaps is she doing a little bit too much. She was quite keen, but she's got so much talent. I thought it was a decent field in behind, she just romped home. I think she's really good.
Yeah, I think so too. It'll be interesting to see where exactly Connections want to go with Falakea. So one of your horses to follow went in, and one of mine did as well, albeit controversially in the French 1000 Guineas. Zaragana, one of my horses to follow, got it in the steward's room. What did we reckon?
Yeah, it was quite something, wasn't it? And obviously social media has been rife with Basher Watson, the syndicate of the runner-up, eventual runner-up, losing the race in the steward's room. As far as I'm concerned, having watched it back a few times, I've changed my opinion slightly. I think it's probably the right decision from the stewards. I thought there was enough interference caused to change the result. And I know that Charlie Fellows is going to appeal, but I don't think they're going to win that, to be honest.
Slightly blurred lines, I think, because of the hand slapping from Michael Barcelona. What did you make of that?
I think people are clutching. I know that there was a video posted saying, like 13, 14 strikes or whatever. When you look at Royal Ascot in a few weeks, there's going to be harder slaps like well done, like congratulatory slaps coming back in. People are clutching. I like we might as well just pack up and go away. If people are saying this is like a welfare issue, I think one tweet. I think that was tongue in cheek, to be fair, but I think that's ridiculous. No, like Barcelona threw his whip away. It's a separate issue. That the interference was obviously at the furlong pole. She's been beaten a nostril. For what it's worth, I think it was the right decision to reverse them. And she's been took, I think, at least 5-6 widths away. And in the end, I think that's more than the winning distance is in the end, isn't it? So what I'm trying to say is I think it's the right decision.
I do as well. I just thought, to be honest, I didn't really buy into the fact that it would be not a disqualification in the UK. I mean, you and I see so many examples on day-to-day racing where there's a short head between them, there's clear interference, and you're not always sure exactly which way it's going to go, but more often than not, horses do get taken down in this country, and with the added emphasis on French rules, I didn't think it was that much of a surprise.
No, I didn't, and I think you're at the behest of whoever's in the steward's room in this country as to what's going to happen in the result. But I think more often than not, had that happened at, say, Goodwood, had that happened at Ascot, the result probably would have changed. I think there was enough interference to cause the result to be changed, given there was only a nostril between the two of them. If there was a half a length, I think you're looking at a different story, but the margin of victory was so small that I think they did the right thing.
Yeah, and listen, we're well aware that maybe you at home feel strongly in the other way. That's why it's great. These are opinions. And yes, she's perfect. It didn't work out for her on that day. There's a whole season of potential compensation for her. And there's an appeal process as well. The last thing I'll say on it, I thought Michael Barcelona's ride, I don't think he's going to be waking up and thinking, what a job well done. That was a great classic ride. I thought, he's won countless big races around the world. That's one he's going to want to forget in a hurry.
Yeah, like you said, I think he's just breathed a sigh of relief that he's got it in the end. But I think back to Jabara last year, because I remember watching that race when the amended result got. I thought there's no way they can turn this around, because if you remember, he comes across Rakaya. There's about a length and a quarter. So there's actually no contact at all, and Jim only very momentarily has to switch her out, and I think it was like a neck, the margin. And when that's getting reversed, I think they would have changed. Do you know how you just said that people were saying that if it was in this, well, I know Fellows did, it wouldn't have. I think it would have. I think it's the same in every jurisdiction. I think there was more than enough for that nostril that it's definitely the right decision for me. And watching that video back of the honest days punting thing for Basher Watts, it's hard. It doesn't half pull on the heart.
Yeah.
You look. Kieran Schumacher's had his worst week of his career, and look, he's going to be fine. Isn't he? He's going to have big rides. This being a great example, having classic chances, and what a filly she's going to be for the rest of the season for him. You just think you got to feel a little bit for him as well as Fellows. This not only would this have been a classic winner, but it would have been his first Group 1 winner. So you do feel sorry for them, but the filly's sound. That was the update this morning. She's going to have a great chance at Royal Ascot, and if not, there's a really good programme for Milan fillies. So I'm sure they're hopefully going to get their day this season.
I think so. It feels like a long way away, Royal Ascot. It isn't in the grand scheme of things. We're around a month away, but first we have the Derby and, of course, the Dante meeting. And we mentioned opinions. You're going to hear a lot of them over the course of the next however many minutes we go into this. Let's dive straight in, because it's strength and depth of this meeting is fantastic. And it starts from the first pattern race that we look at.
Yeah, it does. And to be honest, Anthony, the prize money is, as always, exceptional. York do such a good job, and they're rewarded with really big fields, strong fields, and plenty of depth. And I think that's what we got in the Musidora, and going on through the rest of the week as well. I think, as ever, they've done sensational work there, William Darby and team. We've got a cracking 3 days to look forward to.
We do. And we've seen pretty much every division start to have their comeback runs, so to speak. It's now the turn of the sprinters for that in the Duke of York.
It is, yeah.
I like this race. I like it year on year, by and large. You see nice horses making their reappearance with sighters for potentially Ascot, whether it's 6 or maybe 5. Mm-hmm. What did you make of the current landscape of it, and do you have a strong opinion right now?
I like this race as well. I'm going to break a tradition that I always try and go at this meeting. It's just, obviously, York is my favourite track anyway, but unfortunately I can't do that this year, but this card's always great, isn't it? Wednesday and Thursday particularly, the crowds aren't too busy. This race in question, I do actually have probably one of my strongest fancies of the episode running here, so it'll probably set the tone for the rest of the week. But Night Raider, I think, is a standout here for me. I think the 2 Shaker Bait horses have got question marks. Elite Status, it's just a horse I've never warmed to. I think he's a bit hot and cold. Interesting, Ryan Moore gets on in the Sharon. I think that could be something to keep an eye on, because that seems to be a theme where he rode one there the other day as well. So he could be, obviously, whenever Ballydoyle are going to have a runner, he's going to be on them. But I thought that was just an interesting booking for him. But yeah, Night Raider, I think, obviously this time last year it was a Guineas horse, didn't work out, but I think they've cracked it with him. He's very much a sprinter.
I don't really know what he is, to be honest. Has he cracked it?
I think he has,
as a sprinter.
I think that performance at Newcastle was out at the very top draw. I think because it was Newcastle, probably this time of year. But if you watch that back, he absolutely destroyed a really good field. I think the only question mark with him now is for him to do it on turf. But I think fast ground, like it will be at York this week, it's going to be good for him. There's no rain forecast. He's going to try and make all this track is tailor-made for him as a pace horse, and I'm really quite strong on his chance.
I think it is make or break from, isn't it, as regards the turf angle, isn't it? Because if he does act on it, they've got a sprinter for the rest of the season who could easily take a very high level. But if he doesn't, then it's almost sort of he's not proven himself on that surface.
See any reason why he wouldn't. He'll train on it all the time. Well, in the summer anyway. Of course, he did disappoint at Newmarket last season. I don't think that track suited him, and it was really quite soft. So, for the time being, I'm very happy to give him a chance here with what should be optimum conditions on turf. As I say, that it is a very small question mark. But I think 3-1, I think that performance in Newcastle was really, really top draw. And for me, that wasn't far off. He's been a Group Group 1 horse.
Lovely. I love your enthusiasm. I couldn't disagree with you more. Tom, what do you reckon?
Yeah, well, I'm deserting Marshman, I'm afraid.
Oh.
I know. I rather wish he'd won one of his last 4 starts, and I think he definitely should have won at least one of them. A few things have gone against him. I think he was on the wrong side of the track at Newcastle last time out, when finishing 3rd. As always on that sprint chap, you usually want to be up the near side, don't you? Which he wasn't. And before that, at Donny, he had a no luck in running when he was finishing 3rd. So I don't know. I think now in this hotter company, I think it's going to get tougher for him. Maybe his winning chance for the season has possibly gone by now. He had that race form and race fitness on his side. I'm going to go with a horse who I think has got huge upside over sprinting trips going forward this season, and that is Royal Zabeel, who is seen on the all-weather plenty over the last few months, over 7 furlongs, and handles that distance very well. But I think dropping back in trip is going to see him to a really good effect. Judged actually on his 6th in the Abernant, he was 2nd last. But that doesn't tell the whole story because they went a crawl in that race. And the sectionals back that up. In the penultimate furlong, he ran an 11.06 furlong, which was the 2nd fastest for that penultimate furlong in the race. He eventually finished 2nd last, but they dawdled early, and he was still on the bridle coming to that 2nd last furlong. He just couldn't really make much ground because they quickened off the front. The finishing speed, his finishing speed, was 106%, so they really did fly at the end of the race. I thought that was a really encouraging run, dropped back to 6. You could see from the way he travels that he finds going over a sprinting distance very easy, and therefore, given his 7 furlong stamina, I think he's going to be the tailor-made for 6 furlong contest. So I'm hoping he can take the step up in class, in his stride. And Tom Marquand's been booked, which is great news. And I'd be really looking forward to seeing what he can do over 6 furlongs this season.
Lovely. I hope you're both wrong. I like elite status. I just don't think you can judge him on what we've seen of him in top class company yet. On ratings, he doesn't have a lot to find with his owner mate Innes Sherin. He's rated 112. His 2 runs in Group 1 company last year, he was on the wrong side at Haydock. I'm willing to put a line through that. And soft ground at Ascot, he will not be the first and definitely won't be the last not to handle that Champions Day sprint. So I'll give him another chance, elite status. Then we completely change tack, don't we? Because it's the turn of the 3-year-old fillies. Last chance for classic clues in the 3-year-old fillies division, and only 6 are turning up for the Musidora.
Yeah, only 6 going for this. Difficult to know how strong the race is at the moment, isn't it? Because we haven't seen them really tested most of these yet. Go-Go Boots unbeaten in very much weaker contest than this one. Serenity Perez had 1 start, 1 win, did it well. Smoke and 2 starts so far, listed company, but both of those were in soft ground. So a little bit to prove on this return for her. And of course, Rafe Beckett's haven't really started properly firing, particularly in the classic trials so far we've seen. So I just think there are a couple of question marks about her. Of course, the one man who's taken all the classic trials so far, really, well, pretty much anyway, particularly over middle distances, is Aidan O'Brien. He was ruling supreme at Chester, wasn't he? And I think you can do it again with Whirl. She's got a lovely pedigree, stepped up in trip to a mile, extended mile 2. If you look at her pedigree, she's related to Hydrangea. Her dam's a sister to Hydrangea, who was a star over a mile and a half, out of a Galileo mare. I mean, everything screams step up in trip. She gets that now, and although there's a slight question mark about quick ground being really suitable for her, I think it's too early to say that it won't. I'm willing to overlook that reappearance run, which was disappointing at the Curragh last time, but over a mile and on her return, I think that's not really what she wanted. She's got that run behind her now, stepping up in trip, and given the form of the yard in these races, I think she's got a massive chance. Well, and I think she's around about 2nd in the market. She might well go a favourite given the yard, but she could easily turn out to be one of their leading Oaks fancies if she wins this, and I think she could easily do.
Trying to emulate Snowfall, who bolted up in this in 2021. What do you reckon? Does the Ballydor train keep on rolling in the trials?
No, it doesn't. No.
Lovely. Okay.
It is important to know 10 of the last 11 Oaks have been won by Gosden or O'Brien. They both are represented here. I just think Will wouldn't be their main hope. I think Giselle probably is. She would definitely need to learn to settle. I just think Will for me just isn't. One, I'd have stamina doubts, and 2, I just don't think she's going to be out the very top.
Stamina doubts, even on a pedigree that's.
I think Wootton Bassett. I don't know if she is a Galileo mare, but I think probably 10 is probably the furthest she'll want to go for me. Go-Go Boots, as you say, she's won 2 egg and spoon races around Lingfield. We don't really know what she's done yet. Again, I wouldn't be 100% certain about her staying. I know this is 10 furlongs here and we've got to concentrate on this race, but I'm talking more about
the bigger
Oaks
picture.
potential. And
Sure.
I do think Team Gosden's probably heard that she would be their number one hope for that. Obviously, this is a tried and tested route. They've won this, obviously, 2 of the last 3 years with Emily Upjohn and sister, who obviously went on to... Emily Upjohn got done her head, didn't she? She should have won, and Soul Sister did win. So, you know, it's a tried and tested route for them. Go-Go Boots obviously is their number one hope. And interesting that the True Market does keep the rider, which, you know, you'd think, and usually when these splits happen, that he wouldn't get on so soon. So it'd be really great if he did go on win here and won the Oaks. So it's not all going to end in tears for that partnership, hopefully. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Smoke and
Love a Jack Nicol ramble.
Yeah, no,
is the one I do like. I was really impressed with her when she won at Nottingham, beating a horse which I really like, which I'm going to mention later, in Archivist. I think he's really well handicapped. But anyway, that he set a good standard there to be beaten by her. And then she went and backed that up in the Montrose Stakes. And if we can watch the replay back here, and by the furlong pole, she's already got the race absolutely wrapped up. And firmer ground's going to be a question mark, but I don't see any reason why that would be an issue. Rafe Beckett, as well as the 2 trainers, well, 30 on the licence now as well, he obviously knows how to train in Oaks Filly. By the judging of where the trials have went this spring so far, this would suggest that this would be their number one, and I'm really quite excited to see where she's going to go. And around 3-1, I think she's a fair price. You did just top the preview. There is one more trial on Saturday, which I'll be very interested to see. William Haggis has Alibi in the Newbury trial there on Saturday, so I'll be keen to see how she gets on as well. But yeah, no, Smoking in this, I think she's got a lot more upside, and she was really quite impressive, I thought, at Newmarket. She had the race won a long way out.
What about the rest of day one? Does anyone have any burning fancies outside of the pattern races?
I got a couple of shouts in the handicaps. Going to go for the first race, the Jorvik handicap, Class 2 over the Extended Mile 3. And I'm going to go with Mahaba the Champ, who won twice at York over a mile and a quarter, extended mile and a quarter, and a mile and a half in 2023, including a race at this meeting and a race at the Ebor meeting. He does love it at York on occasion. He's not the most consistent, particularly in the last sort of 18 months or so. As a result, he has gone down the weight. He's now £4 lower than the first of those victories and £5 lower than for the second. So he's become a well-handicapped individual. He needs something to just perk him up, to get those engines purring again. Hopefully, it'll be the first time cheek piece is on. He's down the bottom of the weights, and as I say, he's well treated. So even though it's a bit of a punt for an out-of-form horse, given that he likes the course and distance so much and he's got a little bit of headgear, hopefully that'll make a difference. 14-1, around about that mark, I think that's a very fair price. And then the final race on the day, the 5:25, I think Kapla Lazarus is a very interesting horse. Watched his race last time when he won a handicap debut. That was a decent effort. He still looked quite green that day, but he did close out the race really strongly, and he's only up £4 in the weight, so I think he's got a big chance if coming on again. He's still very lightly raced, and I think given the fact that this last race on the card isn't particularly strong, there aren't that many horses coming into it in good form, I'd say he's a bit of a standout, so hopefully he can go close.
What about yourself?
Nothing for me.
Lovely. On we go to day 2, and we are over the same trip for the first of our race previews for day 2 as we were for the Musidora. This is kind of the older Musidora, isn't it? The Middleton. This is a springboard race with connections of Kalpana. We'll certainly be hoping that is the case. I'm looking to get her beat first time out with Beautiful Love. Just feel that fitness edge could pay dividends. I'm not 100% sold on her being, I know this is an extended 10, but I think her best form came when we saw her over further and later in the season.
I think you're bang on with that, Anthony. Actually, also as well, is that I think if you are going to get her beaten, it will be this day, won't it? Because if she does need the run in any kind of manner over that trip, I think you're right. It might be the time that she's going to be foiled.
Yeah, fingers crossed. What do you reckon? You're going to put me out of my misery?
I've been going around in circles with this, and I just it's a no bet race. I think you're right. If you're going to get her beat, it probably is here, but she is just a class apart, isn't she? I kind of wanted to take her on all last season, and then I was probably converted by that performance in Ascot on the last day, and yeah, it's going to be a big season ahead. They're obviously going to leave plenty to work on. I'm not really sure what's going to be next after this. Perhaps they'll go to some, maybe the Hardwick, or possibly go back to 10 for the Prince of Wales, and then, I don't know, races like the King George and Yorkshire Oaks. And obviously the Arc surely is the main goal. So I can't imagine they're going to have her cherry ripe in May for targets, which are going to be, you know, end of season Ascot and Arc. So the one I quite, well, if I was absolutely push gun to head, I think it would be a stablemate See the Fire. She likes quick round, likes the track obviously, but yeah, I think it's a no bet race, I'm afraid.
See the Fire, both parents winners of the Jumpman International. So I see the Stars and Arabian Queen.
Indeed, beating Golden Horn, the shock of all shocks, wasn't it? Still can't believe that she won that.
Well, believe it, it happened. Right, you fancied Whirl in the Musidora, so by this point, Ballydor will pretty much have swept all of the trials. Does it carry on with the Lion in Winter in the Dante?
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't be confident because, you know, it's been so long since we saw him. But if there's going to be a star in this race, it's him. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The form of that Acomb Stakes has worked out so well. He's unbeaten. I loved the way he went through the races that he won last year. And if he's ready to go, and I'm sure he will be, then I think he'll take all the beating. I think he's going to be a proper tool over a mile and a quarter, mile and a half this year. And as I say, I think in this lineup, if you're looking for a superstar, it's only going to be him, really. I mean, there are a couple of horses in there, like Alpine Trail, who are unbeaten so far, but Alpine Trail hasn't massively visually impressed me with what he's done so far. I think there's plenty of upside to him, but if there's going to be a proper standout, it has to be the Lion of Winter, I think.
This might seem like a real devil's advocate question, because I do think he will win. Do we take everything we saw him do as a 2-year-old as absolutely literally, as in beating Wimbledon Hawkeye, who then won a Group 2 after that, and Ruling Court, who went on to win a Guineas? For you, he has the profile of one who's only just going to get better.
He should do, yes. I thought that Acomb was probably the best piece of juvenile form. I know it wasn't a Group 1, but I think it was the best. I just think on pedigree, he shouldn't really have been able to do that.
Yeah.
The amount of pace
true,
he
yeah.
showed to win the Acomb, beating speedy enough horses as well. Like the sectionals we mentioned before in the Guineas episode for Ruling Court, and he could never even lay a blow on him. And for him to do that, his dam as well, what a home. She was a nice handicapper when I was at Haggis's, and that was over a mile and a half. So the fact to see the Stars out with a staying mare, he was able to show that brazen speed at 2, really does bode well when they are thinking this is going to be their Derby hope. So it's weird though that sometimes it shouldn't always work like that. I believe he's the only See the Stars at Ballydor, can you imagine? I know obviously their breeding kind of arrangements have kind of changed now with the agreement with Godolphin and whatnot, and maybe they'll get more others like See the Stars coming through as well. But yeah, I'd say they'll probably have a few more juveniles by See the Stars on the back of what he did last year, and I expect him to win here, to be honest. I think, again, sadly, it is another no-bet race for me. I can't have Alpine Trail at all. I thought that was a very weak race. He won at Newmarket. I think the reason, like, supplementing him is a drop in the ocean for the finances that Godolphin have, but this is very much a sighter for where they'll have him at home working with Ruling Court, and then this will be a really good measure of kind of how he matches up to what obviously is going to be the Derby favourite, and say he gets within a couple of lengths, they'll be thinking, okay, we've got a chance here.
Yeah, it really does feel that way, doesn't it? It's very exciting having Du Bois and See the Stars at Ballydor, and kind of a spreading of the pack. I'm really interested in Pride of Arras, who we've only seen the once, and that was at Sandown. So green. Really just put enough into the race to see exactly where his ability lay, but the main part of that was him having a good debut experience, kind of like a lot of Rave Beckett's, but how the Gosdens would also do it. And he bolted up. He absolutely bolted up. This is the first time we'll have seen him as a 3-year-old, but I just thought he'd be absolutely fine on this kind of ground, and he provides some kind of alternative to the Lion in Winter, who I probably think will win and go in as the rightful Derby favourite. Yeah,
and on Pride of Arras, Rafe Beckett was interviewed at Lingfield at the weekend, and he said that's his number 1 hope going into the race. He might run Sea Cruiser as well, but what he was saying, Pride of Arras is the number 1 hope, so that would bolster your suggestion that he's got a good chance.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Pride of Arras each way in the Dante. Now, moving on to the Friday, you're both very excited about the Michael Seeley. Who wants to?
Oh, Jack can go. Jack can
at
go
this?
first. But I mean, as Jack said to me earlier before we started on air, like, it's one of the races of the week, if not the race of the week.
I'll let you carry on, actually.
Okay.
And set it up.
Lovely. I don't know what's going on.
Well, we've got Glittering Surf unbeaten so far. Won a pretty decent conditions race at Kempton last time, really impressively. Nothing was really coming from the back that day, but she did, and she swept through to win nicely. Gouliard, who should have won last time at Ascot, was unlucky in the run and has a lot of talent. And you got Kontiki, also unbeaten, looks pretty smart herself, now rated 88. And Consecrated, who...
You might want to leave that.
I will leave that. I will leave that. But there were a few whispers, weren't there, about her chance on debut, and she absolutely flew in. So you got 4 already very smart fillies up against each other, and the rest of the field, we don't know what's going to turn up quite yet, but there are a couple in there, like Bermuda Longtail, who've got plenty of upside still, as lightly raced horses, Troyer being another one. So it could be a really deep race, particularly if the first 4 in the market go to post. And of the 4, I'd probably be keenest on Gouliard. I thought she looked a real work in progress at Ascot last time. Even though she was a bit keen in the early part of the race, she still finished off really strongly. Glittering Surf has done nothing wrong so far. I just think the switch to turf against better fillies might just potentially find her out. But of course, Owen Burrows is taking all the form at the moment. But yeah, Gouliard, if I had to pick, I know that one is one of the 2 that Jack quite likes in the race, I think.
Hang on, I'm about to back a winner. Consecrated for you, Jack?
Yeah, well, it's no surprise, and regular viewers of Flat Out over the last couple of years will know my just obsession with Sacred, who was my favourite horse for a while, and she was so impressive. I mean, it was really pretty much hands and heels. I mean, we can't see the race, but she won as easy as you like. Frankel, a half sister, as I say, to Sacred. She's bred to be very good. Sacred never really performed at York, so I don't think that's going to be any effect on this filly. But it's interesting that they're going to come here. Well, I assume she is a likely runner at this stage, and I'm surprised that she's 5-1. I thought she'd be a bit shorter, especially when you look at Glittering Surf, who's kind of propping up the market at the moment. She's rated 92. For me, in my mind, watching her at Kempton, I thought, okay, this could be one for the Sandringham. The fact that they're going to come here, fair enough, she's unbeaten and she's got any amount of potential. We just don't know yet. But I don't know. For me, I just thought she could be like a really good handicapper going into listed Group 3, whereas I think Gouliard, I know she's a maiden still, but she was second to Whirl, so it's no surprise that you like her, Tom. I was actually at Doncaster last year when she was second, and I know that means nothing when you say, oh, I was there that day, but I just remember the overall feeling of there was really strong vibes for her. She was really well backed, and as we've seen with Whirl, you know, she's already proven herself to be very smart and a group class performer. Obviously, if she goes and win the Musidora, then you think, okay. And then Gouliard should have won at Ascot. I mean, Sylvester will be wanting that back every time. Like she should have won pretty comfortably in the end. And the Godolphin winner sets a really strong line of form. So I find it very hard to separate the 2. So I don't have any problems putting both of them up. Win only 4-1 and 5-1. I really like Kontiki as well. She was going to go for the Guineas, I think, was the quote after. For whatever reason, they've probably thought, okay, well, we might just take it a little bit easy and come here. But for me, I think this filly's going to come in thrown over 10, so I'll have to be taking her on as well. I think Gouliard and Consecrated could very much be Group 1 performers.
Great.
I was just going to say, of the 2, I know some people might not want to back 2. I probably would just lean towards Gouliard of the 2.
Cool. Jack's going to Dutch. Are you going to go singular? You got one fantasy?
Yeah. I mean, Gould for me is the most exciting filly in the race going forward as it currently stands. But you know, given their 4 lightly raced fillies who have all shown smart form so far and no doubt got their best days ahead of them, you can't be confident. But yeah, Gouliard for me at the moment.
Interesting. Okay. And then we come to the Yorkshire Cup, who I was surprised Rebel's Romance was among the horses that already has William Buick jocked up. Clearly the intention to come here, trying something different.
Yeah, like we were just talking before coming on here. I read that he was going to go to Hong Kong. Obviously, he didn't go here. You mentioned that there's another race at the end of the year that he won last year that he could have went for. Stepping Up in Trip is an interesting one because he's such a hardy, straightforward horse that he cleans up all these 1.5 mile races. I don't see any reason why they need to, especially when they've got Trawler Man in for the same ownership. suggests that he probably doesn't run, or he's not quite there, or he was quite disappointed last time we saw him. So I don't know how to really make of this race. Sweet Williams is a quirky old bugger, isn't he?
He's a banana skin.
Yeah, he could well turn up, and could be a class of party, but I don't know. I think this screams a no bet race, and I mean Rebels Romance. Who knows? He could even like unlock another level, but and he's kicking on though. To be fair in age, so no bet race for me. I think it's Trappy.
What yourself?
Yeah, for me as well. But actually, I just wanted to highlight a scenario in which if Rebels Romance does win this well, and then they sort of think, why not go for the Goodwood Cup and have a crack at 2 miles and see what happens over the staying trips this season. If they do that, he's a 7-year-old now. Maybe they're starting to think he's possibly slightly lighter on speed than he once was, potentially. If they are going to target staying races with him, it could turn into a proper clash through the season, couldn't it, with Kyprios? Because if Rebels Romance at his best is a serious talent. We all know that. He's rated 123 still, and he would be the only one in the current staying division, if he goes that way, who I think would be good enough to beat Kyprios. So I hope that he does go this way. I think this is probably going to be a one-off, and the fact that it's the extended mile 5, it's not that far, not much further than a mile and a half that he's been testing over his last couple of years, suggests that maybe they're just going to take this and not go further down that route. But I'd love to see it. It is 108 grand to the winner, so that's a nice little potential attraction to the race for the Godolphin team. So maybe that's what they're thinking. But I would love to see him in the staying division because I think it's pretty light and he'd be a great addition.
I'm glad you mentioned the prize money because I don't think Epic Poets connections are short of a few quid that they've been. He was successful at in Maidan. He then placed on the big night in the Saudi Cup and on Saudi Cup night, and then on Dubai World Cup night as well. So they've been raking in a fair bit of cash, but you can't bet a price on a horse running at the Dante meeting, and I think he could pick up a few pieces each way. I don't mind him at all at 10-1.
He's sort of forever underrated, isn't he, Epic Poet?
And always probably will be.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Do I see him winning? Not really, but do I see him picking up a few pieces? For sure. Was there anything else across the 3 days that we haven't covered that we really should be for your punting?
Just while we're on the staying division, I just want to ask the question, at what point, because we didn't name check Kyprios, what point does he start to wane? Because I think it's got to happen soon. Maybe not this season. I think it might, but it's going to happen soon. I'd be willing to take him on at some point. Like these staying races for me have been kind of a no-go over the last year and whatnot. But like, he's 7-year-old now. He's not going to be able to do it forever.
I think I'd be willing to take him on later in the year when the campaign starts to catch up to him. I wouldn't really be entertaining anyone usurping him for the Gold Cup.
Sure. He runs obviously Friday, and it's going to be another procession. Obviously, it's going to be against inferior rivals. But just in my head, it kind of spoiled. But Illinois, I thought that was a really good performance at Chester. I think he could. Yeah. But I think some people think he wouldn't stay. Well, I think he's almost the tailor-made replacement.
Yeah, he could be.
To take over.
I exactly agree. I think he's waiting in the wings, but until the reigning champ calls time, then especially Ballydoor, then why would they? So, which is a shame.
It is, yeah.
I'd like to see them go ahead.
Well, I'd love to see him
in an Irish Ledger or something a little bit later on. At a Gold Cup. But if it was to happen, I'm guessing it would be Irish Ledger, and I don't really see it happening until...
There's no point, but he'll probably go like a Hardwick or something. But I just think of kind of all this division, I would have Illinois. He's going to, if he ever does take on Kyprios, I'd be backing him. I don't think any of those that we mentioned, I know Rebels Romance is a question mark, but the likes of Sweet William have already shown that they're no match for Kyprios.
Illinois, the heir apparent, maybe, to this staying division, and big shoes to fill if that is the case. Lockinge. We've got to talk about Lockinge Day. It comes hot on the heels of the Dante meeting. Always a fantastic meeting. And a day I'm sure that you in particular love because it very much suits horses for a certain trainer that you particularly like.
Absolutely. One of my best days on track was my first and only visit to Newbury when Baid won the Lockinge. That was.
You've only been once?
Yeah. I was planning to go again. So Saturday is actually my birthday, but annoyingly, Sardinian Warrior wasn't confirmed this morning. I mean, I only had very small stakes on him at 33, so that was a bit of a blow this morning. I suspect he's going to go for the Dispahan now on the 25th of May, which kind of makes sense because if you do look at this Lockinge, it looks a vintage renewal, which is it's pretty much all but the Queen Anne already in name. I know it is a Group 1, of course, but it's an early season Group 1, and the vibes are. I want to take on Rosalian here, and it's been nearly a year that he's run. There was no kind of obvious reason, I think, if memory, you could correct me here, but I don't feel like that second half they were like, okay, we're just going to rough him off now for the rest of the year. To me, that's a little bit fishy. The likes of Hartem and Questionable, who have been his workhorses, they've both been stuffed so far this season. So I don't know. For me, I just think he's got to be taken on here. But then there's question marks. Does Dancing Gemini go here? Does he go the Dispahan? Tamfana, I really hope she does, because she's absolutely, for me, a miler. I don't see any reason why he'd be bringing her, but knowing Menissier, she could absolutely be one for the Dispahan as well. It's quite messy at the moment, but
I hope they run Dancing Gemini in the Lockinge.
Same. I hope they run both.
I think they will actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then notable speeches, like we were just talking before.
Where's he come from? I thought he was in the
retired.
shed.
Yeah, absolutely. Like what more does he have left to prove? So, I'm not sure he's going to be fully wound up for this. What do you think?
I'd be surprised if he was, to be honest. It's a long season and a really well-trodden division as well. Like your checkpoints are there for all to see. Queen Anne after this, Sussex Stakes after that, maybe toy with a Jacques Le Marois, but that's close enough. The Moulin, and then QE2, and maybe Breeders' Cup. There's lots of different variations you can take. Why you'd be tuned up to the hilt for the first one, or even within 10% of your best, I wouldn't see that.
Yeah, I get the feeling they want to have him peaked, I'd imagine, for Sussex again, potentially, and then go from there.
Breeders' Cup as well.
Towards the end of the season, maybe from middle to the end rather than early to middle, I would say.
So I don't think anyone has a bet in this, do they? I like Dancing Gemini.
I like Dancing
to see him
Gemini.
declared.
Yeah, I think he, for me, he is the most likely winner actually in the race.
If he turns up, I'm with him.
If you could guarantee me, I know this is ridiculous to say because it's pie in the sky, but Tamfana, I think she's going to come on a bundle for that race. It sounded like, again, I was there, but you could see that there was so much improvement to come from her. There'll be no penalty that she'd have to concede this time, and I think she's around 7-1 at the prices as well. That would be the kicker as well for me. I probably would just play it safe and wait for declarations, I'm afraid.
David likes bringing his horses back to the home country, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
So
that's the obvious worry. So there's no point risking it for the sake of maybe 4-5-1. I'd happily wait for Dex.
Right, you don't have a bet there. I was going to give you a birthday present tip, but you don't need it. You've got one in the London Gold Cup.
Well, we're recording here on Monday afternoon. There's no market as yet. Let me just refresh to see if anything has been updated. So can't really put it up yet, but we did just name check Archivist before with the form line of Smoking as well. But he was so unlucky. I know you don't agree, but at Nottingham the last day, he got no sort of a run. I don't think he was probably really fully wound up. I think Haggis's, a few of his have been taking a run. I think there's going to be so much improvement to come. I thought it was interesting that they decided to run not in a handicap with the view of stepping him up to 10 furlongs here. I think this is a horse that's got a stone in hand. The only horse I kind of stuck my neck out last year was Align the Stars, but I said the same of. He ended up being 100 plus rate. I think this horse is of that same bracket with room to manoeuvre on his mark of 86. I think he's very well handicapped. And not only we don't have any market as yet, sadly, so I can't really be offering up a win bet or each way. But anything kind of above. I think he might be favourite, so around 5-1-ish, I think is probably fair enough. Anything under than that you'd be getting a bit too short then.
Okay. What haven't we covered that we should for you, Tom? Do you have one elsewhere?
I've just got a couple more on Thursday, actually. So a couple at York and actually one at Salisbury.
Oh, yeah.
Rather extraordinarily. So keep an eye out for that one. I'll tell you in a second. The 242 at York on Thursday, it's the Class 2 Hambleton Handicap. And Blue For You is 8-1, an old favourite, I think, of everyone, really. He's very in and out. So the fact that he managed to run third at Haydock on his reappearance was enormously encouraging returning to York. He's really well handicapped, and I think he will go very close in that. And one that I'm sure Jack will like the sound of is Merchant in the 525 for the Haggis team. I didn't think he handled Newmarket particularly well when he was third there just over a week ago, but he still looked a proper work in progress, as though he'd come on again for that, so I give him another chance there in the last race. And then go to Salisbury. There's a 225 there, the Class 3 mile and a 6 handicap. I think Medium Mogul will bring up the hat-trick for Ed Walker. Now, this horse won a bit of a battle at Redcar last time out, beating Marbuzet, and this is a definite step up in grade. It's a harder task for him. But I think Salisbury's uphill finish is going to really suit him. He's got plenty of stamina, and he does take a bit of work in as far as the jockey's concerned. He's a bit of a grinder, and I think Salisbury really helps horses like that, so I'm hoping that come the final furlong, he'll be the one staying on strongest, and I think up £3 to that victory last time, it could have been harsher. He'd be the play in that 225, so there are 3 more for Thursday.
Lovely. Out of all of the horses you've given during this programme, can you nominate a best bet?
I will go best bet with Royal Zabeel each way. I think he's got an enormous chance in the Duke of York to really show what he can do. Caveat, and I think I said this when I was making the case for him, he does really want a strong pace, but I think with Inisherin and another front runners in there, I think he's going to get that. So, yeah, fingers crossed.
Jack?
In the same race, I can't see... no, in the same race, I do like Night Raider.
Love
I really
it.
thought you were going to go another direction.
No.
Yeah.
Night Raider, it would be Archivist, but, how can I with no prices at the moment? Anything above sort of 7 to 1, he'd be very strong each way. But yeah, no, Night Raider for me, I think this just could be everything finally coming together for him, and I don't think anything will be able, if he gets away and loose on the front end. I know Tom wants a big pace for his, but York, they don't come back to this. So.
Battle of the Naps. What about you, Dunkers? Or Anthony, I should say, to call you your actual name.
I was going to say elite status in the Duke of... No, I wasn't. I think the Rafe Beckett horse in the Dante, Pride of Aris, each way, fingers crossed for a good seasonal return and lays the foundations for a big season ahead. I really liked the fact he was doing all of his best work late and still winning while learning on the job as well on his only start at Sandown. Jack, Tom, thank you very much. Was there anything else that we didn't cover?
Apart from Happy Birthday, we'll sing you it later.
Thanks very much. On Friday, 4:55, one of my horses to follow. Well, my other main one with Sardinia, Crown of Oaks.
You had about 7 though, didn't you?
I did, yes, but he was so unlucky at Newbury. Problem with this is Beaumont's also in there, who's high on my list of horses. So I'm not sure the Crown of Oaks is definitely going to be declared, because Haggis also has Noble Horizon and Seaforce. Okay. But if Crown of Oaks did run, I think he'd be one to keep an eye on.
If Crown of Oaks is declared, then all systems go for Jack Nicol's Crown of Oaks, looking for a bit of redemption. Please remember, of course, as you do every time, to gamble responsibly on any tip or your own tips as well. Let us know in the comments who exactly you fancy for the Dante Festival and Lockinge Day a little nearer the time when we have a full picture of exactly who's going to be running. It promises to be a cracker. You can enjoy it live, the Dante Festival from Racing TV. We will see you again very soon.